Hello there, it's Cassie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be doing some watercoloring, and I'm going to use some Arches watercolor paper. This is cold press 140 pound watercolor paper, and it is 100% cotton, and it works really nicely. It has a higher price point, but it is some beautiful paper. So I'm also going to use the My Favorite Things Fresh Cut Flowers background stamp. This is a red rubber stamp, and it's a big stamp. And so I'm putting this inside of my Tim Holtz stamp platform, so that way I can stamp it out a couple of times because this watercolor paper does have some texture to it. So I'm using some VersaFine Onyx Black ink because that is waterproof. And so I'm going to stamp that out a couple times. And that's where the stamp platform comes in super handy, that or a Misty or something to that degree, because when you're stamping onto watercolor paper, sometimes it's hard to get a really good impression. So I'll have to push that out a couple of times. I'm actually going to be using some watercolors that I got from a sweet internet friend, Dawn Marie. She sent these to me, and so I have stamped these out on my waffle flower swatch and color swatch stamps. So I stamped those out, and then these are what the stamps look like. If that's something that you're interested in, I can link that down below. But I do this so that I can swatch my colors out and see how they look. And I also put them on the actual swatches, which are those little ones that I showed you earlier, because it helps me to, I can put my colors next to each other if I need to, and kind of get an idea of what they're going to look like next to each other. See, this is how that's how I'm determining which colors I want to use, because in the palette, they don't look the same as they do on the paper. I also have my rinse well. I love this for watercoloring, and I am using a number 4 silver black velvet watercolor brush. I'm just putting down some water to start, and I'm going to be using the color Wisteria. These are Daniel Smith watercolors, and Dawn Marie was so sweet to have sent these. I almost feel like it was kind of a birthday gift, even though I don't think she knew it was my birthday, because tomorrow is my birthday. I am making this card for my mother because her birthday is next Saturday. So my mom and I are a week apart, and I'm super excited because at the end of this month, I get to go and see her. We are headed out to go visit her because we're going to look at the place where we are going to be living and where my daughter will be going to school. So we are going to be heading out at the end of the month, and that is when we're going to celebrate. I imagine my mom is probably watching this video because I told her, you know, it's your birthday card, so if you don't want to watch, don't watch. But she watches all my videos. She and her husband are probably my biggest fans. They've been watching since the beginning, and I'm pretty sure they haven't missed a single video. So you guys are the best. So I started out, like I said, with the color Wisteria, and I'm going to move on to doing some shadowing now. And I am using the color Rose of Ultramarine. And I'll be honest, this first bloom in this stamp set was a little hard for me to decide where to put my shadowing, because I'm used to a light source coming from one area, and that other bigger flower, that one's definitely a little bit easier to find where your shadowing would go. But this doesn't need to look realistic. I don't even know if there are flowers that are this color, or that this particular flower, and that's the beauty of watercoloring or using any media. And stamping out your own images. You can do what you want. And so, like I said, I struggled with where to put the shadowing. And even though I struggled with where to put the shadowing, I'm actually just really enjoying this process. I have some music playing, and I am just kind of jamming away and painting. Speaking of music, tonight is actually my daughter's senior prom. And we are a homeschool family, so we do things a little bit differently, obviously. And tonight, like I said, it is her senior prom, but our homeschool prom's a little bit different because parents are allowed to come. And this community here where we live is huge, so there are going to be quite a few people there tonight. And I'm really excited. I'm sure I'm probably going to cry because my husband will get to walk our daughter out and present her, basically. So it's going to be a fun night. Our friends are going, my daughter and all of her friends and her boyfriend, and anyway, it's going to be a super fun night. So leading into this whole week of fun, I'm telling you, because tomorrow, like I said, is my birthday, and my husband is so sweet. He has planned for my best friend and her family, which are basically our family, even though we just met them a few years ago. They have quickly become family to us. And so we are going to celebrate tomorrow. He set that all up. We're going to go to a local favorite here in El Paso called L&J Cafe. If you are familiar with El Paso at all, then I'm sure you've probably heard of L&J Cafe. It's an amazing Mexican restaurant. And so they're all going to meet tomorrow. We're going to go to lunch and then come back here for dessert, which my bestie, I'm sure, will have made the most amazing cake. She insisted on making my cake, and I have had her cooking and baking, and I'm telling you, yeah, I was all about her wanting to make the cake. So I don't know what she's making, but I'm super excited to have it. And so that will be my tomorrow. Back to the card. The third color that I have chosen is the quinacridone purple. This is a really pretty purple. It's a deeper purple. And I'm just going back in over those shadows that I had already put in with the Rose of Ultramarine, and I'm blending those out. When I watercolor, I don't typically like to have too harsh of a line. I think it depends on the image that I'm using, but in this case, because it's a flower, I feel like softer lines would be a little bit more, I don't know, they'd just be a little bit more preferred for me. And if you notice, I also have out a cloth there that is a microfiber cloth. I just leave that there so I can soak up some of the extra water from my paintbrush. And like I said, this is a number 4 silver paintbrush. You could probably go bigger, you could go smaller, you just use whatever you're comfortable using to paint with. So I'll just finish up that shadowing. One of the things I've noticed about Daniel Smith, some of the watercolors anyway, a little obviously goes a very long way. So these little half pans are going to last for like ever, unless you paint every day, which I don't paint every day. So, you know, I like to switch between mediums. I love my Copics, I love my watercolors, and I on occasion will even use colored pencils, but these half pans are going to work for a very, very long time. And I do have a Medine palette coming in the mail so that I can put all those in there. Now for the leaves, I have moved on to Duochrome Emerald. This is a one of their, like, it has iridescence in it, and so there's a little bit of sparkle, not a lot, but there is definitely a little bit of sparkle. I did try to use my phone, the flashlight on my phone, to get it to shimmer, but I just couldn't get it to shimmer that way. You can definitely see it in real life, but it doesn't shimmer super great on camera, so I just kind of left that part out. Now I'm just kind of finishing some of that off. I tried to add a little bit of another duochrome cactus flower, but it wasn't showing up super great. And I did color in that little part of the one flower with the nickel azo yellow and the iridescent topaz. And then I flicked some color on there as well using the iridescent topaz and the duochrome emerald. For my sentiment, I have a sentiment from Simon Says Stamp. It's just the mom sentiment. And I have run through a piece of glitter cardstock and a piece of vellum through my Xyron sticker maker because I want to turn those into stickers. And I also have the Blueprints sketch, or no, it's Blueprints number 24 die. They actually don't make this anymore, but I will link to something similar in the My Favorite Things store. And I have another piece of glitter cardstock, and I'm going to run that through with the stitched rectangle stacks die because this glitter cardstock, you're not going to see that middle piece, so I cut that out so I could save it for something else. And so now I'm going to adhere my card panel to the glitter cardstock just on the edges, and I'm using liquid glue, and then I'm going to set that underneath a stamp block to dry, and then I'll start working on my sentiment. So for the mom die, like I said, this is the vellum. I'm running the shadow through on my Sizzix Sidekick, and then I will set that off to the side. The great thing about that is it has sticker backing on it, so now that's a little sticker. And then I'm going to run the actual mom letters right through as well, and then I will start adhering those two together. I love how this turns everything into a sticker, the Xyron sticker maker. Like I said in the previous video, I am definitely going to have to get a bigger one. So I peeled off the backing paper, and I'm going to start adhering that to the shadow part. And the nice thing about the sticker paper is it is very easily manipulated. So until I'm actually ready to have that permanently adhered to that, you know, I can keep manipulating, and then when I'm ready, I'll just really push down and that stuff is on there. I think my panel has had enough time to dry, so I'll pull that out, and then I'm going to pull off the sticker paper on the back of the vellum, and I'll be able to adhere this directly to my card panel. And I know that green's a little bit darker, but I really like the way these kind of go together. And I think the other glitter paper, the pinkish purple glitter paper, really matches nicely. I'm putting my panel into my mini Misty because I'm going to stamp out Happy Birthday from the Birthday Bears stamp set from My Favorite Things. I've used that several times just because it has great birthday sentiments. And I'm using VersaFine Onyx Black ink to make sure that that is a crisp black. And then I will start adhering that to my card base, which is just some Nino Classic Crest Solar White cardstock. And I'm using some liquid glue to adhere that. For a final bit of embellishment, I am going to use the Super Nuvo Dream Drops. These are new from Nuvo, and if I can find them, I will link them down below. I think all I found the other day was the whole set, which now I want the whole set after I've seen it. And then I'm going to take those and tap those down onto just an embossing powder container, just to make those look a little bit more like enamel dots. And that is going to finish off this card. So if you liked this card, I would love it if you hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. And as always, I appreciate y'all stopping by.